Everyone, as Mr. Andres said, welcome to our As a QuestBridge Scholar. So thank you for attending today's presentation. I hope you all learn about QuestBridge and also learn more about something about Miss Daisy, who is a QuestBridge Scholar. But first is we want to make sure before we start to provide a little bit of a community, digital community guidelines. Make sure to use your raise hand feature. If you have any comments or thoughts, please make sure to use the comment box. And we ask that, we always want to make sure that everybody has a voice and we nurture a respectful and awesome environment. So please make sure to follow the, raising your hand and using the chat box to give everybody a voice. And now, without further ado, I would like to introduce our presenter for today. She is a QuestBridge Scholar and an undergraduate student at University of Chicago. Her name is Stacy Ortiz. She's awesome. So I hope that y'all are prepared to listen and have some questions for her as I invite her in. Miss Daisy.
Hi, everyone. As mentioned, my name's, I'm so sorry if you can hear something in the background. But my name is Daisy Ortiz. I am a rising junior at the University of Chicago. I am class of 2020. So I had a very interesting first year of college. If you want to hear more about that, feel free to ask in the Q&A section that we will have. And I'm grateful to be here. If you guys have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to place it in the chat. And even after, I will share my contact information for you guys to reach out. Oh, also, I guess I should mention my major and stuff. So I'm a biochemistry major with a minor in music. Yeah. Okay, I will share my screen to start the presentation stuff. If it wants to pull up. Okay, cool. Let me see. Yeah. Okay, can everyone see this? Or let me press present. Okay, I don't remember how to do this. Sorry, it's been a while since I've used oh, it's on the bottom. Wait, no, I don't know where it is. Wait, do you guys know how to use? It's
on the bottom, right? That one, yes.
Oh, okay, cool. So sorry. It's been a while since I've used PowerPoint, but here we go. So this is just an introduction to QuestBridge, connecting high achieving low income students to top colleges, just to let them know that, everyone can afford a top college as long as, you're given the resources. And this is what QuestBridge is all about, really being able to give students the resources to really be able to attend the college that, they prefer. Going on. So just a quick overview as to what we will be talking about. So there's the agenda. So we're going to go into a slide that tells you a little more about QuestBridge, to talk about college partners and programs, eligibility, the application process, timelines, and the website for QuestBridge to see if it could answer any more of your questions about financial aid, about individual schools. And lastly, I could talk about my QuestBridge story, my whole application timeline, what I was feeling. And then at the same time, you can also ask any questions in the chat. So yeah. Let me, oh, sorry, I have so many things on my screen right now. Okay, going on. So about QuestBridge. So QuestBridge programs help bright, motivated students from low-income backgrounds navigate college admissions, access the nation's top colleges, and have additional opportunities after college graduation. So QuestBridge is not just something for seniors, as most of you are going to apply to the National College Match. It also helps high school juniors, even beyond college, such as the QuestBridge MBA programs for QuestBridge Scholars and the QuestBridge Alumni Network that really connects everyone from everywhere. It's really awesome. I have met students from all over the QuestBridge college partners, and they are just as awesome, if not even more. And it's just a really great network to be a part of. So college partners. So these college partners are committed to supporting students, such as for over 45 colleges across the nation, including top universities and liberal arts colleges. So you might know some colleges like Dartmouth College, University of Chicago, which is where I go, but it also has smaller colleges, if you don't want that big environment, there's also Macalester, Haverford, Middlebury College, William, and all of the other colleges like that. All QuestBridge College partners meet 100% of demonstrated financial need for admitted students, and all financial aid packages differ. So some schools might offer you like an extra thing for books and supplies and travel, but others may not, and that will have to be more like personal expenses. But of course, every school differs, and it's really what you would like to see. Additionally, each college partner has a welcoming and supportive campus chapter of the QuestBridge Scholars Network. So at every college, you'll have a group of students who are either just QuestBridge, or there are some colleges that do it QuestBridge and fly students, so first generation low income. And they kind of just congregate, talk about their QuestBridge story, you know, share their stories and really find, you know, that common ground. And it's really awesome. I know at my college, we do QuestBridge and Fly. So it's really being able to meet people from all over, not just QuestBridge. It's pretty cool. And if you would like to see the full list of QuestBridge college partners, feel free to just go to questbridge.org/college partners, or you can also just go to questbridge.org and then you'll see it on the top if you want to look at the full list. I think they just hit like exactly 45, and they added new colleges these past few months. So it's pretty awesome. Going on. So the Quest, so programs for students and alumni. Sorry, I have this in my sidebar. Okay, there we go. So there are a various number of programs as previously mentioned. So there's the College Prep Scholars Program, the National College Match, and the QuestBridge Graduate School Match. So the first one that they have that is really for juniors in high school is the College Prep Scholars Program. So it's special awards and resources to prepare high school juniors to apply to the nation's best colleges. And this is more just of like a recognition, but it's also, I think they also invite you to a like conference that allows you to learn more about the different colleges and how to apply to college. If you know any junior friends that are looking for like this competitive title, feel free to, you know, let them know about the College Prep Scholars Program. I'm also a College Prep Scholar. I have both, so feel free to like ask me any questions about that, or if your friend has any questions, feel free to connect them to me. Then there's the National College Match, which is a college admissions and scholarship process that connects high school seniors to full 4-year scholarships at our college partners. And of course, this is the one you guys are interested in and are attending this session for, and you'll learn more about that in just a second. There's the QuestBridge Scholars Network, which is a network of National College Match finalists who are attending a QuestBridge college partner. So we have access to this website that really connects you to everyone all over, even from university all the way through like once you graduate. And it's pretty awesome getting to know where people are working. It's kind of like a LinkedIn for QuestBridge. It's kind of cool. There's also the QuestBridge Alumni Association, which is a worldwide network that helps QuestBridge alumni navigate careers and life after college. And this is just giving you updates about, you know, what's available, what you can do. And it's just a big newsletter about how to utilize like your degree, how to like really network and all that stuff. It's pretty awesome, at least from what I've heard. Of course, I'm not an alumni yet, but we'll see. Well, not we'll see, but like we'll see what that's all about once I graduate. And then last, the most recent program that they've added is the QuestBridge Graduate School Match, which is a QB Scholar specific MBA admission process that provides full tuition scholarships to business schools. And I think they only have a couple, but some of them are really big names. So there's Stanford, the Stanford one, the Harvard, and UChicago, and there's another one, but I don't remember. But it's really awesome. So you have all these options. They're here to prepare you for what's beyond. Going on. So the academic eligibility. So what are they looking for? They're looking for students who earn primarily A's, take the most challenging courses offered at school, rank between the top 5 to 10% of their graduating class, display strong writing skills and intellectual curiosity, and that they demonstrate strength in character and resilience. Of course, these are not requirements. They're not like, oh, I don't meet one of these, oh, I can't apply. There are various students from all backgrounds who don't earn all A's, who apply and still match. So even if you think you don't fall into these categories, still apply, because you never know. like I wasn't a student in high school who earned all A's. Like I had some classes that I really struggled and got a few B's, but I was still able to match to a pretty awesome school and get, basically debt-free college, which is really, really amazing. But yeah, then we go on to the financial eligibility. So they're looking for a student who comes from a household earning less than $65,000 a year annually for a typical family of four, for free or reduced price school meals, or may have extenuating financial circumstances. Again, I highly stress that this is not something that's super set in stone. It's not something that you have to meet. These are just like, I guess you can think of it as being the average of the students applying. So I've known students who make more than $65,000 a year for their family of four and still match. So again, don't think this as like something super discouraging. It's something that they just want more students to apply from all different types of backgrounds. So if you have any more questions about that, I can definitely answer some. If you guys have any in the chat, please let me know. Feel free to put them down in the chat and I will answer them as they come in, or at the end, actually. Yeah. Going on, so application steps. So the first thing you will have to do is fill out an application. It's FAFSA-like, where you put in your demographics, your financials, your household, and like all that extra stuff about, how many people are in your family, how much do you make, do you have any extenuating circumstances? Then you put in your AP and IB coursework and your score inputs. So make sure to have your AP score handouts, like the ones you get from College Board, that give you your scores for each of the APs that you previously took, and upload those when possible. You also can submit standardized tests, so like the SAT or the ACT, if you've taken them. There are schools on the QuestBridge list that are test optional, so if you feel like you're not a really strong test taker, or it's like you're not sure if you want to put in the score, you can put it in optionally, like it's not necessary. I would also take note as to which schools need an SAT or ACT and which ones do not, and that would help you distinguish between the two and when to put in your scores. The next step of your application is to add in your honors, activities, work, and home responsibilities. And these are all just items that the school wants to know more about you. What do you do outside of academics? Like what is your personality and what do you help around with? They want to know more about you, not just anything that's like on pen and paper that you do in school. Because personally, although I wasn't, I felt like I wasn't like the smartest in school. I was, always like doing my work, handing stuff in on time, but I feel like more of my personality really came from the stuff I did outside of school. So I would definitely put emphasis on your honors activities, just to show like what kind of student you are, what are you interested in, and how does that contribute to their college environment. There are also short answer questions and one really big answer question, word limit question. So there's 3 200 word limit response questions. And I believe there are another 2 650 limit response. I know there's one for sure, but I would have to double check the other one. I know they recently changed their application, so it looks different, a little different from when I applied. You also need 2 teacher recommendations, and that's really from anyone you know the best at school. I would say someone who knows you personally, someone you've spent time in office hours in, or just really connected with. And of course, if you have any more questions about what teachers you should ask, like what connections, like should I ask, feel free to talk to me about that too. Going on, so now we look at the timeline. So the seniors that are applying for this upcoming round, so the application opens in late summer, and some news, it's open now. So if you really want to apply, I would say take a look at the application as soon as possible, just to start, brainstorming about what you want to write about. In late September, the application closes, and for this year, it closes September 27th. So although you still have some time, I would say like start on it now, because all of the first initial stuff that you have to put in, you need your like tax documents for it to be more accurate and like really analyze them and put all the stuff in. So I would say take a look now. If you want like more like a good timing to everything. In October, National College Match finalists are notified. This is usually around the end of October, like October 20th, something like that. And then you start your next application, which is, so there are two applications, right? So there is the initial application to like pull the students they would like, and then the finalists, and those finalists have a certain time to finish their applications for all the schools that they ranked. Now you're like, what's ranking? So when you are submitting your application, you have I think they just updated it. So when I applied, it was you rank up to 12 of their partner schools and apply to every single one as like an early decision application. But I think this upcoming new year, they can rank up to 15 schools. So you have more of a chance of getting a school that you would like and match with them. And you would submit that. And if you were chosen as a National College Match finalist, you would then apply to all of them. Some of them have extra supplementals. So I would say also double check with that, because you don't want to miss out on an application that ends up being withdrawn at the end because you didn't submit the application materials. So you rank up to 15, do all their supplementals, but some schools are really cool where you don't have to submit a supplemental. So, but of course, make sure to find that. And then early December, matched scholarship recipients are notified. This is usually like the first few days of December like 1st through the 5th. And that's kind of where you will find out whether you match somewhere, where you'll be going, and get to share the really great news with everyone. It's really such an amazing time. And I know I cried when I got my decision. Like, it was in the middle of my physics class, and I still remember like every emotion that I felt. And then lastly, in the spring, you begin your college journey as a QuestBridge Scholar, get to meet all of your QuestBridge peers at your school by doing like all these group chats and stuff. You even make a Facebook group and get to know everyone, and it's all super awesome. And that's basically it on the college match application. And I will be happy to answer any question anyone has about really anything, about whether it is about me being in college at UChicago or just about the application materials in general. Feel free to put them down in the chat or raise your hand and unmute. And I guess just to share a little bit about myself. So I am from Los Angeles, California. I am where did I go? I go to the University of Chicago, right? I am a biochemistry major with a minor in music. And I'm involved in a lot of activities at school. So I play the viola, so I'm in an orchestra. Or I was in an orchestra. I now joined in an ensemble. And it's pretty awesome. I get to use my vocal cords. I've never sung, so me being able to sing is kind of interesting. And I also work in a lab on campus. So I work with like immunology, with the immunology department, and I get to, learn a lot about how our immune system works and stuff like that. But yeah, if anyone has any questions about anything, feel free to let me know.
I'll also go ahead and JC, stop sharing. Or would you like me to continue sharing?
Yeah, we can continue recording so we can have some of the questions the students have.
Got it.
Thank you, Mr. Andres. I have a question, Ms. Daisy, just to start you off. If you can provide some tips on how to tackle QuestBridge the most effective way, what would it be?
Personally, I would say, make a checklist. I know most people are like, I don't want to write everything down, everything's digital. Even using your computer's sticky notes, I would say to write everything down, because at least for me, like, I quickly forget about a lot of things. So being able to write things down, check them out, check them off, or like cross them out is just the most satisfying feeling. So I would say write everything down, make deadlines for yourself. So instead of making your deadline the date that the application is due, do it like a week in advance and just get it done. Because otherwise you're gonna like prolong it. You're gonna, like, oh, I can do this later. It doesn't take that long. But in the end, it all just accumulates, and you don't want to be super stressed. I know it's still a super stressful time for everyone, senior year, you have all these events that you want to go to, you want to apply to college, get in and like not worry about it. And so I would just say, like, make a timeline for yourself, make these like fake deadlines. Well, I mean, don't tell yourself it's a fake deadline, say it's a real deadline. And try to find ways to also put your personality into everything. Don't just think, oh, they want to hear this. This is what the school was like. I should be more like this. Be yourself. Colleges really look at who you are as a person and not just like your academics. So you want to really shine a light on your personality, because in the end, you want to fit in with everyone else who will have like that same desire for like intellectual curiosity. So being able to really be yourself will help the college get a sense whether you're a good fit for them as well. But yeah, I would just say that make a checklist. I think that's the most important thing. So there's a question in the chat from Catherine saying, was there any part you underestimated about the application? I would say probably like my essays, just because I've always felt like, oh, I have good essays that I can rely on. I can like pull stuff from this, pull from that. But then when it came to the time of writing, I was like, yeah, what am I supposed to write about? It was kind of like I personally like writing about the experiences I've gone through. Like I have a couple of stories that I would like to share, but when it came to time of writing, I was like, okay, but how do I word this? How do I do this? How do I do that? So being able to really rely on like some of the mentors I had at the time, or like even some teachers at school, like they've helped me a lot, and they helped me in being able to use the right like verbiage to say everything on paper and really get like those emotions on paper, so that when someone reads it, they're like, oh wow, like I would have never imagined. That and just probably all the like tax stuff, but that was just me not knowing how to read like tax papers and stuff. But it would be definitely great to have a mentor around. So another question, do you apply for the QuestBridge first, then after you get it, then apply for the schools? Yeah, so you apply to QuestBridge first. So you apply using their application on their website. And then you basically submit all of your application to QuestBridge, and QuestBridge will send it to the schools. So the first step is applying to QuestBridge on their website, fill out everything, and then you submit stuff, and then you submit your ranking list. And you rank up to 15 schools. You assign the agreement because it's like a binding agreement. You can't really get out of it. Because as I mentioned, it's like an early decision type thing. And you send it to them, and then they'll let you know, hey, like you're a finalist, apply to all of these schools that you ranked now. And you have to make sure that all those 15 schools are schools you want to apply to. I would say apply to schools that you really want to go to, not just any, and like where you'll be unhappy at. Yeah. And then after that, you apply through the school's portal if you are selected as a finalist and need to submit supplementals. Otherwise, it's off their QuestBridge. I hope that cleared that. I hope I wasn't too confusing going all around. If it isn't, let me know and I can like say it again.
So to clarify, sorry Daisy,
yeah.
to disrupt you. To clarify, you apply to QuestBridge, and then if you need supplemental, then you open up the Common App, right?
Yeah, either Common App or like their individual a coalition, or their like portal, their student portal. Yeah. There you go. Next question, is it required to be a senior to apply? Yes, you do have to be a senior to apply to the National College Match. If you're applying to do a college prep scholar program, then that's 11th grade. So these are like grade specific. So college prep scholars, 11. National College Match, like college match, is 12th grade. Yes. Have another question. How much does it affect us if we didn't do much extracurricular activities but have done a lot of APs? I would just say, talk about your experiences in those APs. If you don't have like a lot of extracurricular activities, but there are some that you're a part of, talk about how those helped you grow. What did you learn from them? What was the most impactful experience being a part of these activities? Or even your APs, you could talk about how difficult it was for you to handle this and something else. There are a lot of stories about how like a certain class was hard, but it helped open their eyes as to what they wanted to do in the future. So just being creative, thinking about how this helped you in certain ways is really how to go about that. At least that's how I would approach it. But of course, feel free to take like advice from anyone about how to approach that. Everyone's story is different. Feel free to either send the questions in the chat or privately message me. That works too.
Okay, I have another question, Daisy. If there's no question, so what's your advice in choosing this school? Do you want to go for more, less, or how do you, with your experience?
That's a very good question. And I talked about this question a lot with my fellow QuestBridge friends that applied and are going to schools now. It's really about knowing where your heart is. I would say if you can handle applying to like 15 schools and within like a certain amount of time, I would say do it, but don't stress yourself out too much. But if you're like set on this, like a set number of colleges, you're like, oh, I only want to do 3 because these are the 3 schools that I really want to be at. I don't know much about the others and I'm not really interested in the others. Don't do more. Do 3, the ones that you really have your heart set on. And I would say don't just name all the big school ones. I'd say look at the smaller like liberal arts colleges because you never know what they might offer. I personally ranked 10 schools, and those were all schools that I did research on, looked at what they would give me on financial aid, and looked at all the extra stuff that they would give me. So there are some schools, right, as I mentioned earlier, some QuestBridge schools give you extra financial aid to help pay for your health insurance, your travel, your books, and it's really what you really need. So I would say look into every school's financial aid, see what they offer, see what they don't offer, compare them, look at their campus environment, and I would say use different websites like the Princeton Review College Search one, which I think is really good, the College Board one too. So it really takes some time. So that's why like another thing I emphasize is look at the schools early, start the application early, see what these schools offer, see what they don't offer, see if it's something you like, see if it's something you don't like. And apply to schools you only want to go to because we wouldn't want you to be unhappy at a school you don't want to be at. And so yeah, I'd say that's a big thing. Do a lot of like research and find where you want to be. And then I have a question, right? For QuestBridge, who should we get our letters of recommendation from? I would say it's from a teacher that you really connect with. I chose although I didn't have her as a teacher, she was an advisor for one of the clubs I was president of in high school. And honestly, I felt like I knew her more than I did any other teacher. And, I think I didn't get to read the application right because we waive our rights to reading our letters of recommendation. But I'm pretty sure she wrote me like a really meaningful and thoughtful letter because she knew me as a person. She knew what I was going through and she knew how much effort I put into everything. And that's kind of the person you want to use as your recommendation, where they've seen you grow, where they've seen you struggle, or even if they haven't seen you struggle, just seen you mature as a student throughout your years. That's kind of the person you want to write because have them write your letter because they'll know more about you than really any other teacher that you've only had for like a semester or a year. And then I have another question. What other opportunities are available besides free tuition? I saw somewhere that if we don't accept it, there are other advantages in QuestBridge. Yes, I totally forgot to mention this. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, so if you match with the school, right, you QuestBridge match to somewhere, you get a full ride basically. If you don't match, or if you're not selected as a finalist, you can still go through QuestBridge regular decision and they'll still give you comparable aid. I have a friend who unfortunately didn't match and still goes to one of their partner colleges and basically has a full ride. And she's getting lots of help from them. She's still part of the QuestBridge network because she did apply through QuestBridge. And regular decision is like gives you I feel like it gives you a little bit of more of a recognition because they know that you are a part of QuestBridge, that you applied to QuestBridge. QuestBridge chose you as a finalist. But, of course, because they only have limited number of scholarships available for everyone, are not able to give it to everyone. They're like, this person is very competitive. We like them. We'll still give them comparable aid because they still have that demonstrated need. So of course, in addition, let's say you are a finalist, you apply through QuestBridge regular decision, and there's like still some gap in financial aid. There are always like lots of opportunities for scholarships everywhere. I know I've applied through like a lot of websites that have like various scholarships, and I've gotten like a couple that have helped me out just with like personal expenses. So they're available for everyone, and that's really where QuestBridge can like help out. Although it'll be like a little bit of a gap from regular decision to match, it's still like enough aid to like put you through everything, and it's something that people can afford. I have another question about letters of recommendation. Would you suggest a core teacher or perhaps an elective teacher? I would say if it were me I think applying, I did one core, one elective. And that's because, a core teacher will see what you like, the effort you put into actual like math, like STEM courses or other courses like that, or AP classes. And then an elective teacher will see you more relaxed, more of like you're in the zone because you like being there. But of course, it's a teacher that has seen you and like knows you, not just any teacher who'll be like, oh yeah, I can just write a generic letter of recommendation for this person. Find someone who will really like know your experience. I hope that makes sense. But yeah. Would you recommend bringing up our major in the application? I would say yes. I guess that depends on the question. It depends on the like what kind of prompt there is. I know when I applied, one of the prompts was like, okay, I don't remember the prompt, but I remember what I wrote about. I thought I remember the prompt, but I didn't. It was kind of just talking about like the most impactful experience, I think, or something like that. And I wrote about how my first time at the hospital was actually for a family friend, and it was the first time I had ever seen anyone in like a really vulnerable position where they were like hooked up to a lot of stuff. And I talked about how that was like my first passion for helping people, for really finding a career in the medical field, and that's what pushed me to start volunteering at a hospital. So it's kind of like all tied together, like, oh, I saw this, it pushed me to do this, and now this is what I want to do in the future because I love helping people, and really doing what I can to like fill the gap of like need somewhere. And that's kind of how I incorporated it. I didn't say my major really, but I said like what I'm interested in, what my future field would be. And I guess it also depends on the specific supplemental question they have. I know for the U Chicago prompt, I did mention that I wanted to come in as a biochemistry major and learn about these specific fields and like the specific class. And that would just kind of show like my demonstrated interest in the school, see that I actually did my research and wanted to be there. Yeah.
I was gonna bring up a topic just to provide some importance in flying programs. So doing QuestBridge, do you have any advice or any, what do you think about flying programs, especially when you're applying for the different universities to match with QuestBridge? Like, does flying programs help?
I personally love fly-in programs. So for those of you that don't know what fly-in programs are, they're just programs where, you apply to school specifically for a flying program, and they pay for you to go to their school and stay overnight or for like a couple of days. And it's basically expense free. It's like a mini vacation during the school year. It's kind of nice. So I went to a fly-in program at Reed College. and that's in Oregon. It's a really nice college, small liberal arts. Very, if I'm totally honest, it does give me U Chicago vibes, like where everyone's like intellectually curious. They're all like have these really tight-knit traditions in their houses. They have like these language houses. It's super cool. And I was like, that sounds kind of cool. I want to visit. So I just searched up for flying programs to see if they had one, because obviously not all schools have some, but some do, and they have specific flying programs for students of specific backgrounds. So I did the one at Reed. I got to fly over there for, I think it was like two days, and I got to visit a class. I got to talk to an admissions officer, and I just got to explore campus by myself. It was also really nice because it was my first, like, it was kind of snowy at the time in Oregon. Like there was like snow everywhere, and I was like, it was my first time seeing snow too. So I was like, oh my God, this is so awesome. But flying programs are a great way to show your demonstrated interest in a school by, physically doing something to get to be there, and talking to admissions representatives, and they'll get a sense as to whether you really want to be there, and they'll get to know your name before your name shows up on an application. They'll get to put a face to a name whenever they get their actual application. And it's really awesome. I highly recommend. There are lots of flying programs. There are no limit to how many flying programs you can apply to. And it's nice being on an airplane and not being in school. But it's also a nice way to learn more about colleges. But personally, I liked the little trip. But I highly recommend. How do we apply for fly-in programs? So fly-in programs, you kind of just have to search for them. I know the Irwood Scholar program has lots of fly-in programs, like a whole document full of them. So if you're interested in that, email JC, he will have everything. We're here to help you. And it's usually just like a short application. It's like, why do you want to go here? Or like something related to their prompts. It'll be something similar usually. And I think for some of them you need a couple of letter recommendations, but other than that, you kind of just apply and wait and watch your email to see for an update. Really cool. Highly recommend if anyone's interested in going to see them. They usually open up like between now and like the spring. So keep an eye out for that. And then I have another question here. How do we turn in our AP scores? Is it something digital, or do we need something official from our school? So you can download an AP score report on College Board, I believe, if that's still the way to do it. I haven't been in high school in a minute, so it might have changed. I don't know. I would say either reach out to a counselor, or it's on AP College Board website, and you can just download the score report, upload it, and that's kind of how you turn in your scores. For the later scores, like the ones you do at the end of your senior year, you would have to send a score report to the schools. And I think if you do it by the time you do them, it should be free. But otherwise, if you don't send them in, I think it costs a little bit. Next question. What would you say was your strongest criteria in your application? I think personally, for me, it was my extracurriculars. And that was just because I spent a lot of time in my orchestra, and I got to share all these cool stories that I got to partake in. So I was in an orchestra, I volunteered at a hospital, and I had like all these clubs at school, and all these like AP Scholar distinctions. And I kind of just talked about why I loved being in these clubs and what they've helped me, what I've gained from them. And that's kind of the only reason why I got to add more to my application in that sense. And what else would I say about it? Oh, for every like extracurricular that you have in your honors and awards section on the application, you can add like a little bit as to what you did, and that's kind of where I added like a little more words. I made sure to use like every single word to like use up every single like word count that I can to like let them know that I was I did this much. But I would say whenever you see like a word box that probably pertains to you, I would say fill it in and try to use as much as you can just to put as many words and to get them to help them get a better sense as to who you are. But of course, the strongest criteria in everyone's application is a different set. Like it's like it won't always be the activity section. It could be your writing. Let's say you're an amazing writer, but even then, if you don't think you're an amazing writer, it'll still go through like tons of edits through all of these like teachers and stuff. So don't worry. Like I personally think I'm an awful writer. Like I personally hate writing. I hated my English class. That's why I'm a STEM major. But I mean, I do some writing, but it's more scientific, right? But it'll always go through tons of edits. You can always ask like your teachers, your peers for some advice, or like, hey, does that like sound good? Does that make sense? And it'll help you like shape your overall story, and in the end, it'll be well-rounded. We do have, okay, there we go. Do you have any advice for juggling between school, college apps, ECs during senior year? I'd say make again, okay, sorry, I'm gonna start over. I'm like talking. Okay. My senior year, I put a big emphasis on like structure because I'm a person who likes structure more than anything. So I had an agenda and I kind of wrote everything I needed to do that day. And that's kind of how I juggled between everything. I was like, okay, from school, I go from this time to this time. From this extracurricular, it takes this much to this. It takes like, let's say 4 to 5 o'clock. And then from 5 to 6 is like my commute home. 6 to 7, I'm gonna say that's my doing homework time. Like I cannot be distracted. And then I'll give myself like in between, like, oh, get like a 15-minute break. Sometimes it'll go over 15 minutes. I have to, I have to admit. But in the end, it's kind of just whatever you want to get done that day, you will get it done. And that's kind of how I juggled everything. I was like, okay, I have to get this done. Therefore, I am going to get this done. And no matter how long it takes. But of course, because application materials do take a little bit of brain power, I did put it like earlier in the day so that I wasn't super tired, like mindlessly writing. And usually, you know, that's when our writing doesn't make sense. Other than that, it was kind of just finding any free time and writing during the school day. I know that sounds kind of boring. You're like, I don't want to do work on top of more work, but sometimes it's kind of necessary. But you also have to like push yourself a little bit. This application is not easy, as with like any application. It's you kind of just pushing yourself to the best, to like the, not pushing yourself to the limit, but more like how would I say it? Like pushing yourself to, you know, in the end, reach for something that you really want. And for me, that was college. I really wanted to go to college. I really wanted to study, and really motivating myself to do everything, either whether it be like taking more than a 15-minute break, or saying I can like buy myself this if I do this on time. That's kind of how I motivated myself. So find that motivation and like make that your goal, but also like have fun with it. This application is meant to be about you, about what you can offer and what you're looking forward to in the future. And if you're really passionate about it, it shouldn't really feel like work. It will be a little work with editing, right? But in the end, it's about you. Yeah, no problem. And being that we are getting to end of questions, if you have any questions later on, feel free to like email me at any time. I will drop down my college email. I check this like every day. So feel free to email it whenever. It's daisyO@uchicago.edu. And feel free to send me any questions. If I don't reply, feel free to send me multiple emails. I will see it. I will not get annoyed, I promise. I will also make sure to check my spam just in case it ends up in there. But I'm here to help you guys. I'm here to help you make the process a little easier, if possible, and provide you some wisdom that I may have about this application. I know it was a stressful time for me, and just talking about it with anyone, and even if you want to talk about it with me, that I'm there.